Workplace Relations Minister. Tony Burke, meanwhile, has announced the new protections for gig economy workers. Joining me now to discuss this, the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chief Executive, Andrew McKellar. Thanks for your time. I'll just pop this down so the viewers can see you on that camera. So gig economy changes. What do you make of the principle behind this? That it's a new way to work. It's a bit of a limbo as to whether you work for someone or not. And some of these people are on some pretty dire hourly rates. Is that something we need to fix?
Well, I think what we heard from the Minister today was an admission on 2 points, and that is, firstly, the level of complexity as a result of the arrangements the government are going to introduce, that'll increase. It'll make it harder to take people on through this system. And of course, let's remember, in many cases, people are looking to make up a bit of extra money. They want flexibility. They're not necessarily looking to work in a full-time capacity or anything like it. So I think here the concern is the government is really limiting people's options and flexibility. They're making it harder for platforms to take people on. And secondly, the Minister openly admitted costs will go up. So it will be more expensive to get your takeaway. It'll be more expensive to get a ride home. This is something on top of all of the existing cost of living pressures that people are facing at the moment.
When you say people want flexibility, if you've got someone right now that previously started was working one job, all these interest rate rises, maybe they got out and got a second job because they had to. Surely they weren't keen to do it for $9 or $12 an hour, but they have to. They're not going to say no to this. Is that something, again, is that issue something you think we need to fix? Or are you saying, look, if it's that bad an hourly rate, people won't do the job. Let the market decide.
So on this, in the areas where the real concerns have been identified, which is rideshare and food delivery, the major providers in there who are doing the right thing, they've said, to be very clear, they will agree to a very consistent, simple set of standards which address issues of pay, insurance and record keeping. If those can be applied, then I think we've got a solution. We don't need to rope in all of these other areas. So we're talking about roping in the care economy.
Let's talk about them first of all. So if that happens, how do you think that should work in principle? Does it sort of ameliorate the overall money and one person, earning a lot of money and ends up going to someone else? Or does it just put a floor on someone's wages in that situation?
Well, I think it achieves exactly what the government has said its objective was, which is to provide, some guarantees, some minimum standards, which are safe and practical, but which still enable these businesses to compete, to innovate, to offer flexibility, and also to be attractive for the people who are trying to provide services.
And people might pay a bit more for the takeaway or delivery. We're already paying more, but I think people don't really realise it. If you look at, go into a restaurant and look at their menu and then look at the Uber menu. The Uber menu it's not just a delivery, you're paying more per item. And that's sort of how they, Uber charges them, they charge the customers. So given how popularity Uber, DoorDash, I shouldn't just be plugging Uber, but all these companies are, and we're paying the extra amount without really caring, it shows we're willing to pay extra for convenience.
Well, people are prepared to pay for a service. Of course, it's a competitive service and these things stack up. Now, that's what you've got to test in the marketplace. But what the Minister is saying here is he will introduce regulation, additional red tape, it'll add complexity and it'll add to costs. Now, that's a straight up admission. And I think that's something that's got to be taken into account. We should go into this with our eyes open. That's going to be one of the implications.